Hey, have you ever been in the middle of a busy workday, juggling a handful of video projects, and realized that your storage solution just can't keep up? I was there last month, trying to pull raw 4K footage from 3 different drives at once, and every time I hit export my workstation would freeze for a solid 10 seconds. It's the kind of moment that makes you question whether you should throw more cash at a bigger external SSD or finally upgrade to a proper network-attached storage system. The thing is, with NAS gear, there's a fine line between paying for horsepower you'll never use and buying a chassis that simply won't hold all the data you need. If you're on the fence about stepping up to a 12-bay rack mount and you want to avoid the buyer's remorse phase, stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So, let's talk about the QNAP TS1273AURP8GUS. This isn't a plug-and-play little box you dump a couple of hard drives into and forget about. It's a full-size, 12-bay rack-mount server that's built for studios, small to medium businesses, or anyone who needs a lot of raw capacity plus a little extra muscle. The centerpiece is an AMD Ryzen embedded V1500B quad-core processor clocked at 2.2 GHz. In plain English, that CPU is more than capable of handling multiple simultaneous file transfers, transcoding a few streams, and running the QTS operating system without hiccups. It's not a gaming chip, but for a storage server it's a solid balance of power consumption and raw compute. What makes this model stand out is the redundant power supply. In most office environments, a sudden power glitch can corrupt a RAID array, and the cost of data loss is often far higher than the price of a second PSU. Having two identical power units means the machine can survive a single PSU failure without dropping the entire array. If your workflow depends on uptime, think of a video post-production house that needs to deliver edits to clients within the hour. This redundancy is a practical safety net rather than a marketing gimmick. Now, who should actually consider buying this NAS? First off, if you're already filling 3 or 4 4TB drives and you keep running out of space, the 12-bay chassis gives you room to scale up to 12 drives, which translates to 48 TB of raw storage with 4 TB disks, or even more if you drop in 10 TB or 16 TB drives. That's not just future-proof, it's a real step up from the 4-bay or 6-bay units that many small businesses start with. The second group is anyone who needs more than 1 gigabit network connection. QNAP has equipped this model with two 2.5 GBE ports, so you can either aggregate the links for a 5 gigabits per second pipe or set one port for management traffic while the other handles data. In a lab where multiple workstations pull large datasets simultaneously, that extra bandwidth can shave minutes off copy times. On the flip side, there are clear cases to walk away. If you're a home user who only needs to back up a few laptops and maybe a media library, the 12-bay footprint is overkill. Not only will you pay for a chassis you'll never fill, but you'll also need a proper rack to mount it, and the noise level of 12 spinning disks can be intimidating in a quiet home office. Also, the unit ships diskless, which means you'll have to buy the drives separately. That's a cost variable you need to factor in. You could end up spending as much on the drives as on the NAS itself, especially if you opt for enterprise-grade SSDs for speed. So, unless you already have a stash of hard drives or you plan to buy them in bulk, the price point may feel steep. Let's get into the strengths that matter once the box is up and running. One of the biggest practical wins is the dual PCIe Gen 34 slots. I've seen people add a 10 GBE network card to a similar QNAP model, turning a 2.5 GBE box into a full-blown 10 GBE server without buying a new chassis. That kind of upgrade path is rare in the NAS world, and it lets you future-proof your network without a massive upfront investment. For an office that's slowly rolling out 10 GBE switches, you can start with the stock ports, then slide in the faster card when the infrastructure catches up. Another real-world benefit is the QTS software ecosystem. While it's true that every QNAP runs QTS, the version on this unit supports containerized apps, virtual machines, and even a built-in surveillance station. The CPU and 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, expandable to 32 GB, give you enough headroom to run a modest number of Docker containers, say a Plex media server for internal streaming and a GitLab instance for code repositories without grinding the system to a halt. I actually set up a test where I ran a Plex transcode job while simultaneously backing up a 2 TB folder via RSANC, and the CPU usage hovered around 45%, leaving plenty of room for other tasks. Now, the weaknesses. The biggest practical issue is the